Hello, beautiful people. Happy Monday. We are back. So I wanted to do this yesterday, but I decided that I wanted to take a little bit of more time to collect my thoughts. Just bear with me for a minute here as I prepare some supporting documentation for you folks for a little bit later. So this weekend was an interesting one. And I'm going to keep this brief. It's about 10 after 12 right now. On Monday, July 20th, we got a couple cool things coming up this week, interviews and things like that, and a couple more features. But I wanted to just address something right out of the gate. Something that happened over the weekend that was a bit challenging. And, despite my best efforts to try to address it on social media, I figured, I have a platform, I have a podcast. Thank you very much for everyone who follows and listens and watches along. So I figured, since I do have a voice, I might as well address it. And I'm not going to address it in a way that's going to further inflame the situation. I'm going to address it calmly, clearly, and concisely, because I think it would be a good time. And that's why I'm calling this the state of indulgence. I think it would be a good time to talk about just exactly what we do here at the Indulgent Islander. So I am a restaurant, food, and beverage advocate. That's what I was when I got down here to Bluffton, South Carolina, a little over 5 years ago. May, June, July. Yeah, 5 years and a couple of months ago. Really, before that, I was an avid restaurant goer. I was a visitor. I was a tourist, if you will, that has been coming to Hilton Head Island since I was about 9-10 years old, I believe it was. I talked about this, the backstory of this on WHHI's Talk of the Town with Betsy McDaniel last month. Maybe it was a little over a month ago. I think May or June, when they were kind enough to have me on Talk of the Town. And you can find that on our YouTube channel here. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on WHHI as well. So what started out as an Instagram page with captions and photos and captions eventually evolved into a video platform, because the reality of the situation is that anybody that wants to create food content that's going to reach people and speak to people, you have to do video. Obviously, I had a couple of inspirations for that. I've talked about them in the past. So I decided to add a video element to the Indulgent Islander media entity, if you will. Podcasting has ultimately become my wheelhouse. It's become my comfort zone. It's become a way for me to share with the audience, with the Indulgent Islander universe, my experiences on Hilton Head, in Bluffton, out in Beaufort, out in Savannah, anywhere in the Low Country, including my own experiences at home, which is a very small part of that. But that's how I get to enjoy things from vendors like, say, the Sour Loaf, who I've connected with and had them interviewed here on the podcast. And we're going to be doing another presentation where we're going to be bringing you some content from the Sour Loaf on site, so you can see their operation with their sourdough. And I've posted a couple of things with the sandwiches and things that I've enjoyed at home that I've used with ingredients from the Sour Loaf. So along with this endeavor, comes there's a lot of great things about it. And I really, truly enjoy everything that comes along with this, in terms of enjoy the people that it helps me connect with. I enjoy obviously all of this delicious, incredible food. And I, unfortunately, along the way, when you are in the public view, the public eye, I am not a I don't even want to use the word celebrity because I would never even consider myself to be anything of the sort. I've always maintained and stated very clearly that if there was a way for the voice of the voiceless food and beverage owners and chefs and employees and things like that, if there was a way for me to advocate for them to support their businesses without having my face on camera and my voice, I would prefer to be faceless and nameless because despite the fact that I may seem very outgoing in the public view, um, and definitely out there on social media, sometimes to my own detriment, because I am honest and I am authentic and I am genuine in everything that I say. I don't have any ulterior motives and I don't have any agendas or, you know, what's the word that they say? Narratives, if you will. I'm just a guy who decided to relocate my family to South Carolina to give them a better life and to enjoy the low country. And a big part, a huge part, perhaps the biggest part of what I enjoy about living here in the low country is all of the delicious food. Now, along with that comes, like I said, a certain element of negativity, and sometimes, unfortunately, hate. So while I'm prepared to deal with that, and while I understand that some things that I say are going to not be well received from certain people, and it's not that they're controversial or um, I don't know what another adjective for controversial would be. Um, I guess contentious, you know, hot button is another one. When I think of hot button, I think about pizza and bagels and how strongly and passionately certain people feel about bread, which is when it's in a positive way, like the great folks at the Sour Loaf, I think that's awesome. When it's in a negative way where you have to, talk about the New York bagels not being like the bagels from New York, or the pizza not being like where it came from the Northeast or the Midwest. That's when it starts to get a little crazy. Well, this weekend it came to a whole new level, and I'm not going to mention anybody individually because I'm not going to give them the satisfaction or the views, if you will, because that's another thing I want to pause and just talk about. Anybody that creates on these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, obviously your goal is views. This platform, this YouTube lives eternally, excuse me, this podcast, this program lives eternally on YouTube. And I really do want to roll my sleeves up and try to get that library over to Spotify for you guys, because for me, I enjoy and indulge and ingest podcasts on YouTube, and Spotify are my primary vehicles for doing that. And I figured the same would be true for you guys. I'm less concerned about the Apple Apple iHeartRadio, although you can listen to my wrestling program Against the Ropes with my friend Tommy Emmerich from up in New Jersey. You can listen to that on iHeartRadio if you have a subscription. That's Thursdays at noon for those of you who are into the pro wrestling world. But this is the Indulgent Islander podcast, and I would like at some point to have that library over on Spotify so that you can access us at well. What I was saying was I'm less concerned about the other platforms because besides YouTube and Spotify, to the best of my knowledge, they don't have a video element. And this is a very visual podcast so that I can show you the food that I've been enjoying and indulging in, and so that I can share that with you. So in this particular instance, late last week, I came across a post for a Facebook page that is based out of Beaufort County that talks about food and in general their experiences with local restaurants. And in this particular case, again, and I'm not going to get into any specifics here, I'm just going to speak very generally for a number of reasons. But if you continue, or you follow us, or you continue to follow us, you'll be able to connect the dots yourselves And again, make decisions for yourselves, because that's how this country works. It's a free country. People are allowed to state their opinions. And I want to make it very clear that I have zero issue with anybody stating their opinions positively or negatively about a business. That being said, there was something specifically that struck a chord with me last week when this entity shared a video review of a not a new business, but a business that has recently gone brick and mortar in the area, in a new location. And what specifically bothered me about this particular thing, just for the record, just to put it out there once and for all, and to make everyone very clear about it, what specifically bothered me was during said video, during one of the items that were being spotlighted, there was again, I'm not a video producer, so I'm going to say jump cut. There was a video clip that was interspersed, a video clip that was woven into the video, that was a reaction to one of the items that they purchased and consumed. Again, to the best of my knowledge, that's what was the video led us to believe, the audience. And there was a jump cut to a very popular meme of a young child that was like with their cheeks bulging, like they were about to vomit, for lack of a better word. Now, like I said, I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate personally. I'm an advocate professionally, for those of you who are in on that aspect of my life. And I tend to keep my personal life relatively personal. And this particular incident is one of the reasons why I do that, because the world, and specifically the internet, can be a very dark and disturbing, disgusting place at times. And so what I did was I commented on this and I just said rude and unnecessary. That was my opinion of what was being presented. Specifically, that particular moment where with the girl that was about to throw up. And I did that because I know the business owner personally. I wouldn't say that we're friends, but we are very friendly. We're acquaintances, if you will. That person has been a customer. Again, I don't need to get into specifics about my professional life, but that person was a customer of the company that employs me, that I am an employee with. That is my primary occupation. And while they may not be at the moment an active customer, I have dealt with them professionally, and I've dealt with them personally, and I've dealt with them with the Indulgent Islander entity, where they were one of the food trucks, one of the businesses that was represented in an event that I helped promote, or not sponsor, but an event that I assisted with the promotions of last summer with a local real estate business that was doing an event where they wanted to feature food trucks, and they asked me sort of to consult with them and help them find the food trucks and communicate with them. And I did this all without any sort of compensation whatsoever. I just did it to help the real estate business, again, enlist food trucks for their event. So I said rude and unnecessary, and that sparked a little bit of a back and forth between me and the people that run that page. And I want to make it very clear that I did not call anyone names. I did not disparage anyone. I did not insult anyone when I did that. I think the absolute furthest that I went was, from my perspective, I said something along the lines of, it's likely that you haven't experienced cuisine or things like that outside of, and I referred to Beaufort as a quaint little town, which it is. I'm very fond of Beaufort, and there's quite a few businesses there that I patronize, and there's quite a few businesses there that are customers and I would say partners of mine. I am on the south side of the Broad, so I spend most of my time in Bluffton and Hilton Head, and more specifically Savannah, because I'm very close to there. But I had again, I said, a pre-existing relationship with said business owner. And honestly, when I see something like that, it really hurts me. It pains me, because I know how hard these people work, and that's really something that we spotlight very often on the Indulgent Islander podcast is we spotlight local business owners, and we our goal is to get them more exposure. Our goal is to advocate for these business owners, for these businesses, for the owners of the restaurants and food trucks and catering entities, for the employees, the food and beverage employees that are members of their teams, if you will, for private chefs that are trying to make a name for themselves. We're going to be interviewing another one of those, um, I believe, late tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be speaking with Alejandro Remolina, who is a chef in the area that has worked at a number of restaurants, and he is now the owner and operator of Remolina Culinary Company. So my goal is to, like I said, get more exposure for these businesses. Sorry about this. Just had to get back to this person. It's just the nature of the beast. When you're bouncing a lot of balls in the air, you have to have immediate responses to certain things. And a lot of my immediate responses are to family and friends, because that's kind of who I am and who I care about. But again, let me get off track. So that's really what bothered me, was and I know it bothered the business owner, because we talked, shortly thereafter, and I know it made him very upset, because, he checked his cameras and he had a number of customers that day, and everybody else except for this one individual. Now, there's a certain perspective that individual's review, or that page's review, was not really that negative. I think they said something about the quantity of pulled pork on the sandwich was positive. There was other item. There was another item that was kind of like a non-opinion about, it was kind of give or take it or leave it type of thing. And again, I want to be very clear about this. And I think this is probably the most important part of what I'm going to talk about today, which is, and other podcasts, I'm not going to name them specifically, but other podcasts that I like and support, and other podcasts and shows that I don't particularly care for, a lot of them say the same thing when it comes to this issue. Food it's a universal language, and it's one that I believe brings us together. I felt that way with my mortgage business. I felt that way in a lot of things. Food, I've had people that I've interviewed on this podcast that aren't even in the food and beverage world, but at some point we talk about food during the show, even if they're a musician or a friend, contact, colleague, whatever it is, peer that operates another business. At some point, we're going to talk about the food. But what I like is probably going to be different than what you like. Now, some would say there's maybe an issue. Some would say maybe, how do you have credibility? And I've had questions like this. I had someone that I actually know over in Beaufort County that I met out to lunch at Black Sheep on Boundary when they were doing the wine shop luncheonette concept. And congratulations to Krista and Matt on their reopening. They're back to the tasting menu concept with their dinners, which are now available. Reservations, you can check their website to see when the reservations come available. I mean, they went back on and those things were sold out in a matter of minutes. So congratulations to them. But I met someone at Black Sheep on Boundary while I was indulging, if you will, in a spectacular sandwich. And the woman asked me a couple of weeks ago, she said, what do you do if you have a negative experience? And my answer to that is, if I have a negative experience, I tend to subscribe to, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But with everything that I say and do, it's intentional. So let's just say, for example, if you see me, and I don't even like to call it a review, but if you see me post something about a restaurant and I am complimentary towards them, but you don't hear me or read me or whatever it is, you don't see or hear any comments where I'm specifically addressing how much I enjoyed things on the menu, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably because I didn't particularly enjoy them, and I chose to focus on other aspects of the establishment that I think would be complimentary towards them, and that's being authentic as well. There's certain restaurants that I might like the atmosphere and not be particularly thrilled about the food. The opinion about the food that it is a taste thing. Every human being has different tastes. I am the type of person where I like a lot of things. And we're going to come back to that in a second, because that was really the comment that really kind of sent this down the road to negative town, if you will. I generally like a lot of things. I am not a picky eater. I don't like, if people put a gun to my head and said, "What don't you like?" I don't like cottage cheese. My mother is a huge fan of cottage cheese. I don't like the way that it looks. I don't like the way that it smells. I don't like the texture. That's something that I particularly don't like. Much like that, I'm not the biggest fan of, I wanted to say palmetto cheese, but that's a specific brand. The pimento cheese. Yes, I live here in South Carolina. There are so many burgers and chicken sandwiches and sandwiches in general that have pimento cheese on them. I'm gonna talk about one of them a little bit later on in this show, something that I ate over the weekend that I really enjoyed. And one of the burgers that was the most popular burger that they recommended that I order based on their most popular items was pimento cheese. I don't like pimento cheese. I mean, I'm not going to say every single time I don't like it, but I am not a fan of pimento cheese. Nor am I generally a fan of sweet potatoes. I've probably enjoyed one mashed sweet potato in my life, and I complimented the chef at the time, who was a very close friend of mine, at a Friendsgiving, about how much I enjoyed the sweet potatoes. When I was growing up, the sweet potatoes at Thanksgiving or Christmas was a mushy, goopy bowl of, again, mashed sweet potatoes, very creamy with like marshmallows on top. It's just not for me. And I don't really like sweets with my food. I don't really like salads that have, fruit on them and nuts and things like that. It's just something that I particularly don't enjoy. So if I don't like something specifically, I'm not going to, let's say, bash it, or I'm not going to, speak negatively about it, because it's just not for me. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be for you or anyone else that is, again, enjoying that food. Anyone else that is, chooses to spend their money on that stuff. King Summit on Instagram. Keep doing you, my guy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, King Summit. I don't really know who that is off the top of my head. I feel like I will know once I look up their screen name, but thank you. I appreciate it. I hate how close up my giant head is on the Instagram live, but I want to try to, again, maximize the audience, because I want people to know what it is that we're talking about. But at the same time, I am not a clickbait. I'm not a person that's going after views. That's not what I'm about. Yes, I want to get these places as much exposure, but this is not a self-serving endeavor. Let's put it that way. Now, when we do showcases and certain things, and we do marketing here at the Indulgent Islander for certain restaurants, of course, there's going to be things that I'm compensated for. In the interest of full disclosure, I was compensated by the owners for the Enjoy Every Sandwich tour, a very nominal amount that is split between me and my videographer. RJ Torres of Visually Chopped Productions does the vast majority of my content in terms of directing, recording, and producing that, and he does a spectacular job, and we'll talk more about that later as well. So yes, we do, in certain instances, it is a paid promotion, but I can honestly tell you, without equivocation and without hesitation, that I truly enjoyed every single sandwich that I ate on the sandwich tour, which ultimately wound up being over 40 sandwiches, and from almost 40 restaurants and small businesses that decided to participate. And I really, truly enjoyed every one. I am not a liar. I'm not fake. I'm not phony. I'm as authentic and genuine as it is. It's weird even hearing myself say that, because I mean, I think anybody who knows me or follows me on any of these various platforms with the Indulgent Islander knows that I am honest and genuine and authentic. And in certain professions, let's just say that that has worked against me because sometimes people don't like hearing the truth. And I've been accused of, bad mouthing, or let's say talking shit. And I don't want to make this a podcast where I curse a lot, because that's not what I'm about. Not in this public forum. It's not necessary. But I want to take a side note for that as well. I want to be emphatic, and this is something that I've been thinking about for quite a few months now. When you are speaking the truth, your truth, and you are being honest and genuine about that particular subject, I don't consider that to be talking shit or bad mouthing. I've had someone accuse me in a professional context of bad mouth. I don't ever say anything that is factually untrue or inaccurate. It's black and white, the things that I say. Opinions, yes, opinions is a gray area. Anybody's allowed to state their opinion. But when I say things, they are things that factually happened and factually took place. They are actual occurrences that happened. And in this particular case, the actual occurrence was a video clip of someone throwing up about a particular food item, and that bothered me. So I made the decision to speak on that person's behalf, because let's be real, a business owner, a restaurant owner can't really speak out on their behalf when it comes to things like this, because it's their business and they can't really get into a war of words on social media, which can be a really, really seedy, again, vile place. And I've certainly experienced that firsthand over the last couple of days. I said rude and unnecessary, and we went back and forth a few times, and I maintained that basically, again, it was just not necessary to say that and to damage someone. Even when you say to close your video, something like, I wish them nothing but success, but you also just said that you're never going to patronize the business again. And so your audience, the last thing that they heard was, it's a no from me, I won't eat there again, which you're absolutely entitled to. But I wish them nothing but success, which is the definition of talking out of both sides of your mouth. Now, again, I didn't attack the person. I didn't insult the person. I didn't disparage them. I didn't insult them. I didn't call them names. What followed from there was a comment along the lines of, you'll eat anything, which I will. I'm not hiding anything there. And then the next thing was, again, the low-hanging fruit of, you certainly looks like you don't miss a meal. So, and there was 2 comments made like that, right? So I'm not new to this game, if you will. I've had plenty of instances in the past where someone who doesn't particularly like me, or someone who is speaking out against me or disagreeing with me or arguing with me, they have made comments disparaging my weight, for lack of a better term. And I just want to say this. I'm okay with who I am. I'm good with me. I'm good with Nick DeSimone, the person. Any human being, however, is going to, when they're name called and they're insulted, they're disparaged, they're disrespected in this way, is going to feel a certain way about that. Now, my decision at that particular time was, I'm just going to block this person. And that's how I have decided to handle a lot of these situations, because the reality is you're not going to change that person's mind. That person has made their mind up. They've made their mind up about the food that they ate. Excuse me. They've made their mind up about their opinion about the food, and they've made their mind up about the fact that they're going to share that opinion with their audience. Whether it's because, I mean, I know the reason why it's because they want to get views and they want to increase viewership to their platform, and these things are monetized, and that's entirely up to them. But when you cross over that line and you insult and disparage me personally for my appearance, I'm not going to defend myself, and I've made the decision not to do that. But what I will do is, and there's a printed out sign in the corner of my office here that I've had in actual offices, on-site locations that I've had in my career. And it says it is a picture of two street signs. And those street signs are the intersection between respect and accountability. So I have a sign here in the corner of my office that is the intersection between respect and accountability. If you are going to post stuff on social media and you're going to disparage someone, that's going to live forever. Now, you can block the person, you can stray hair flying out here, one of my grays. Yeah, I probably had a few extra grays sprout over the weekend as a result of this nonsense. But um, when you put things out there, those things are going to stay out there, for lack of a better term, forever, right? So what I'll say is that if you're going to say those things, then you need to be prepared to to witness what people's reaction are going to be to this comment, which again was disparaging me for my physical appearance. So I screenshot it, and I have a lot of screenshots from over the weekend. So I screenshot it and I posted it on my page. And I very simply said, if you support this shit, please unfriend me, because that's the way that I feel. If you're going to support a page, an entity, a person, whatever it is, that's going to talk that way about certain people who, again, I did not do this. I did not do that. I didn't call anyone names. I didn't insult anyone. I just said it's likely that you haven't experienced things outside of your small town. And again, that's my opinion. That's not to disparage someone. It's just probably, that's my perspective on the situation. Could be wrong. That's an opinion. It wasn't an opinion about them personally. It certainly wasn't an opinion about their appearance. But what happened next was really unfortunate and really has made me uncomfortable since then. What happened next was I realized at some point during the day, I think it was Friday, that an individual, and I don't know whether it's this same person that I was interacting with, that I was communicating with back and forth, but some unsavory individual created a Facebook profile, a fake Facebook profile with the same first name that I have, and let's call it an abbreviated, butchered, misspelling, intentionally or otherwise, version of my last name. My last name is on the screen. You can read it yourself. This Facebook profile was, you could tell it was relatively new. It was my first name and 5 letters of my last name, which is broken up into 2 words. In this particular case, those letters were all in 1 word. And that account commented on a very recent post, I think one from that same day, with a racial slur. Thank you, Claire. She says, left swipe and press on and continue the great work that you do. Your followers love your content and look forward to the next great sandwich, soup, and restaurant. Do the right thing and come home for dinner. I got to look that quote up because that sounds somewhat familiar to me. Do the right thing and come home for dinner. What's that from? Do the right thing and come home for dinner. I don't know where that quote's from, but Claire's going to probably let me know. I appreciate that, Claire. Thank you very much. So this person created this fake profile and they commented on a post from that day with a racial epithet, a racial slur, a very derogatory term. And I want to just take this because this is probably the most important thing about this. This business that I was advocating for Mike Pence. Okay. This business that I was advocating for, thank you, Claire. I appreciate that. This business that I was advocating for is Black owned. The business is owned by African American family. It is a local family owned, Black owned business. So this human being, which is being generous, that created this profile, this person that created this profile, that said the racial comment. Yes, they're African American, they're Black, at least according to their profile picture. Again, I've never met this person, I don't know them, but I was advocating for a Black owned business. Again, the owners of whom I know personally. But not only did they comment with that slur in the recent post, they also went back to a post from that person's page from April, from like April 1, where there was a picture of a truck that said showers of dig. I don't know. It would look like it was a mobile, like you would see the trucks that do blood, where you can donate your blood. Again, it looked like it was a mobile shower unit, something where people could go and take a shower. And they went back to this post from almost 3 months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago, and posted something about, you need to shower, you need to bathe. And again, followed by another, not a slur, but another derogatory term towards Black people. Now, I'm not going to sit here today as a 47-year-old adult man who has, quite frankly, never been accused of racism in my entire life. The purpose of this video is not to sit here and prove to the world, or to the audience, if you will, that I am not racist. If you are curious about something like that, or you would like to know who I am from that perspective, I encourage you to ask any single person that knows me as a human being, regardless of their color, regardless of their religious background, regardless of their nationality, or their sexual orientation, or their sex, male, female, whatever it is. I support all races. Again, I don't even believe that I have to say this. I support all races, religions. Again, that's not what I'm here to do and say. And I said I wasn't going to, and I did. It's crazy that I would have to. And in addition to that, let's just stop and think for a moment how insane it is to think that someone, let's just say, for example, there was an individual out there that wanted to say these horrible things. Why on God's green earth? I do believe in God. I'm not a very religious person, but I do believe in God, and I hope that he is real, because if that's the case, then that's all the protection and that I need in this life. But why in God's green earth would, if I were to want to say something like that on social media, which I never would, the thought wouldn't even enter my head to say these things, nevertheless type them and post them on the internet for the world to see. Why in the blue hell would I choose my same first name, Nick, and then another name that is not my actual last name? Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you, bro. I love you too. Why would I use my name if I wanted to hurl such a hateful, horrible term towards another human being on a social platform? That in and of itself is crazy. Now, that profile, I believe, has been taken down, to the best of my knowledge. I believe it's been taken down. I reported it. Friends and family reported it. There's now another one out there that it's not my first name. It's one letter cut short. It's like NIC with the same 5 letters. The fact that there would be such stupidity and ignorance out there to assume that that was actually me saying those things when I didn't even insult or disparage the person in the first place is categorically, I want to look up, I love words, right? What's a synonym for insane? Unhinged. I've had a couple of friends mention that. Crazy, demented, deranged, unhinged, preposterous, outrageous, um, mentally unsound, whatever the case may. Choose any of them. It's multiple choice. You could choose all of the above. Why in the world would I create another profile that looks like my name and it just doesn't make any, it doesn't make a single ounce of sense to do that if that was my intention, was to disparage that person. And so what they've done is they've taken those screenshots with the comments that were not made by me, and they've shared those to their platform. And what has ensued has been an absolute shitstorm. Hopefully that's the last time I have to use that word, of epic proportions, where I have, and this is crazy because I have a video right now that is doing spectacularly well. If you haven't seen it, check out my on-site feature spotlight with Okatee River Farms that we recorded, RJ and I, and Michael Rizek, my photographer friend and colleague, who's going to be out on the road with me visiting with some of you guys this week. He does incredible work. We were, as does RJ. We recorded this feature for Okatee River Farms at their farmers market. At last I checked, it's got 7,000 views since Thursday morning, maybe it was. It's doing spectacularly well. But I see a lot of viewers, on the story that are not, thank you, Claire. It is a gem. I agree with you. And I'm glad that it's getting the attention that it deserves. They shared it to their page yesterday. I appreciate them for that. And again, stay tuned for more on the Sour Loaf. Lindsay and Sean Shockey. We had an interview with them that I posted last week that you could find on Facebook for at least another 20 something days. And then again, evergreen on YouTube. And I met them just like I did Burley's Bakery, and we'll shine a spotlight on them too at some point. Just like Southern Grace Farm. These are all places that businesses that are partnering up with Okatee River Farms. Thank you, Chris. So I'm just reading along in the comments here. So that video has done spectacularly well. That being said, over 100 of those people, and I think this is also an opportune time to mention, I see everything, I hear everything, and I see everything. So just like you spies that are, looking at my stuff because you're affiliated with someone who doesn't particularly like me, I see everything. You disappeared for a little while, but I saw you just yesterday taking a look at what I'm doing. And again, I'm not the type of person who's going to say thank you for the views, because views are not what I'm about, but I see everything. And when I see like there's 250 views on a story, which I don't know that a story on the Indulgent Island or on that was I shared that on my personal page. I don't know that I've ever had a story that had 250 views. Over 100 of those views were people that I have never seen before, that are not followers of me. And guess what? The vast majority of them are a certain person, type of person. Again, I don't want to get into specifics, from particularly the Beaufort area. So, and there's been also several comments of let's get this guy, let's go after him, because again, people are just automatically assuming that I made those comments, even though they didn't come from my account and they came from a fake account that has since been taken down for being fraudulent. I don't know who the individual is, and I'll just say this and leave it at that. I'm going to leave that up to the proper authorities, because now you're going down the road of defamation and slander and harassment and things like that, and that's up to the long arm of the law to deal with. It ain't up to Nick DeSimone. I don't handle I say sometimes I handle my business in the street. Yeah, that means you're going to hear my opinion. And I've even said things, quoting a t-shirt that the WWE released for Brock Lesnar that said "Talk shit, get hit." That comment is just, if you attack someone that I care about, whether it's me or someone that I care about, I'm going to call you out on it. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to name call, but I'm going to call you out on it. That's what it means when it says get hit. Not like I'm going to, F5 you, like Brock Lesnar says on his t-shirt, right? Talk shit, get hit. And then he kicked Obafemi in the family jewels, if you will, the royal family jewels and whatever. I'm not a violent person. I've never been in a physical altercation in my life, and I prefer to keep it that way. But it's incredible because people will literally, this has been a micro example of the world that we're living in right now, where people will believe anything they see, people will believe anything that they read, and automatically assume that what they are saying is true, especially if it is from someone who is in a group that they are supposed to oppose, right? So I allegedly said something about even though, again, defending a black-owned business, I allegedly said this or did something to a black person, and they're going to therefore accuse me of being racist, and they're going to, enlist their army. Okay, there's a primary difference between what they did and what they've done and what I've done. What I did was I showed my audience what they said, a screenshot from their actual account, not a fake account. What they did was they shared a comment that was not from me to their audience, and I have gotten some of the most vile, hateful comments, threats, and accusations and whatnot over the past several days. It's quite scary. But that being said, I'm not going to hide behind. I still stand by what I said. I don't think it's appropriate to talk about a business with a video interspersed in your video of a young girl, trying not to throw up. I've spoken to the business owner. He's very grateful and appreciative of what I've done. He's also very sorry for the problems that it's caused for me personally. And again, that will be dealt with accordingly within the law, because I am not a person that breaks the law or suggests it like a lot of their audience has. And so here we are 45 minutes later. I said I was going to keep this relatively quick, but this is obviously a subject that is entirely, it's very profoundly meaningful to me in a very negative way. And I'm trying to spin it around in a positive way. And what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to bring the most positive thing that I can possibly bring. And I'm going to use my voice, and I'm going to visit that restaurant, and I'm going to patronize that restaurant, and I'm going to spend my money on their food, and I'm going to eat it. And I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. And again, you don't have to listen to me, because I am me and you are you, and you don't have to like what I like, and I don't have to like what you like. But I do not have to and will not sit here and be disparaged and be accused of things that I am not, because of a few people that are hateful, miserable people that feel the need to, I'm telling you, I'm not going to put them up on the screen, but you should see some of these messages that I have received from people that I don't know. And I also, I directly messaged a number of these people that were reacting and encouraging and supporting what this person said. And I messaged quite a few of them, and I said, this is not me. I did not say those things. Again, from the perspective of the accused, that's me doing damage control to try to, solve the problem. One of these people who owns a business in the area, again, I will not name them. I will not name their business. One of these people doxed my professional occupation, my primary job, how I earn a living to feed my family, and posted my email signature because they had received emails from me. From a business perspective, I like to share timely, pertinent information with my audience as it pertains to, restaurant owners and food and beverage people. I share market produce reports. I share local produce from my employer. I share, special local items that are available. I share things just like I've done for years and years to my real estate partners in the mortgage world. I share things that I believe people will find helpful in their professional or in the case of the Indulgent Islander, in their personal endeavors. She screenshotted the email from me with my complete contact information and said, he works for blah, blah, blah in said town, and have at it, basically. And I saw several other comments that said, we're going to contact them. Well, I wish you luck, because you don't have anything that shows that I said anything or did anything inappropriate. What I did that you don't like was I shined a spotlight on the things that you said. And now you don't want to be held accountable for those things. So you're going to try to threaten me and intimidate me and gather an army of people, which is not what I did, to gather an army of people to attack me. And I'm not going to sit back and just allow that to happen. So here we are, 50 minutes of an explanation. And that's really all I have to say about that. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. Again, I am honest and I am truthful sometimes to a fault. What you see is what you get. There's no, like I said, ulterior motive. There's no narrative. There's no agenda. I am just telling the audience what I think about certain things. And in this particular case, I didn't particularly like what I saw. That was the comment that was made about that business. And do I regret it? To a certain extent, yeah, because nobody wants to be dealing with what I'm dealing with right now. But I'm not looking for sympathy either, because again, I stand by what I said, and I always will. And I will fight for what is right. I will fight for the people and the things that I love. I shared a quote on my social media yesterday: fight for the people and the things you love, no matter what task or risk you may face, it will be worth it. And always fight for the things you love, which I will continue to do. To that end, I think I'd like to take just a couple of minutes at the end here to talk about some of the things that you might enjoy that I have indulged in recently. And again, I'm open to, if you'd like to message me or you'd like to have any questions or any concerns about what I talked about today, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to comment me, message me, call me if you have my phone number, and I'm happy to discuss that. I just wanted to take the opportunity to use the platform and the voice that I have to address these things, because they are wrong. And again, they will be dealt with accordingly through the appropriate channels, as I'm dealing with right now. So who's this? This is Cooper. Cooper and I spent some quality time together at Locals Only Tap Room. Locals Only had a couple of events this past weekend, because Shona, who runs the operation there, is going on vacation. So here you see me and my friend Shona took a nice picture. Unbeknownst to me, I was walking into a mortgage bankers convention, for lack of a better term. I think one of the local lenders was hosting a happy hour. I saw a couple of people that I know from the mortgage business. I was not there for the mortgage event. I was there for American Munchies, which is a food truck that I've told that I need to enjoy. I was told that I need to enjoy by my friend Amber Cole, who was the winner of the Soup to Tour promotion back in the fall, and won a beautiful gift basket of goodies, which I think it's an opportune time to just mention that real quick before I forget. Congratulations to Linda Cam. Well, and while I'm at it, this is what I'm talking about. This was literally a WWE reference. Talk shit, get hit. A lot of the things that I say sometimes can be construed as, Nick's being negative or Nick's angry. Like, I think a lot of times my humor might be misunderstood, and that's fine too. My audience is not for everybody. Here's another one that I use frequently. I love MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman's a wrestler that I enjoy following. He has a persona called the Devil, and he says nobody is on the level of the Devil. And so I posted that a few times because he's my favorite. I just want to go back a little further. So this is the beautiful gift basket courtesy of Coastal Curation that was awarded to Linda Cam at Kammer Cam, Kammer Kam. On Instagram. She does not have a Facebook page. That is what was awarded to her for winning the Enjoy Every Sandwich contest with the Indulgent Islander. And let's see. I don't need to put up the picture of me holding the gift basket. She didn't want to be in the photograph, so she took a picture of me holding the gift basket, and that's on Instagram and Facebook if you guys want to check that out. But anyway, back to American Munchies. There's a room full of people, including my friend's chef, Mike Fitzhugh. I don't think Denise is in the photo at this particular moment, but Chef Mike was in attendance in addition to a number of other people. This was the view from outside where the truck was. And then, of course, I had to indulge in some. There's me in front of the truck. There's me with Cooper waiting online to get my order. Cooper was obviously on the intent. He was looking for scraps and looking for food, and he got a couple of little pieces of bacon and a little bit of my burger as well. Look at all this food. So this was wings with an Asian sauce. This was a burger that had onion rings and barbecue sauce and bacon. This was a hot dog with pierogies on top, a Chicago dog, and some tater tots. Everything that I ate here was really good. These wings specifically, they weren't huge wings, which is fine. I don't need my wings to be enormous. They had a delicious Asian glaze on them. It was really good. I loved this hot dog with the pierogies on it. I love pierogies. I ate them twice over the weekend. Chicago dog, authentic Chicago dog, awesome. Sport peppers. The burger with the barbecue sauce and the onion rings. Of course, the delicious tots. Really enjoyed American Munchies. And again, let's get one more shot of Cooper enjoying his couple bits of bacon that he had. Don't feed dogs if you don't know who the owner is and you don't know. Dogs, it's okay for them to have a couple pieces of bacon and some burger meat, but I made sure there was no barbecue sauce or anything on like that because certain things can be toxic to dogs. That's what worries me about dogs walking around among strangers. And if you don't know the dog's owner, or you don't know what's good and not good for dogs, just don't feed them. Then there was this other dog who I'm now following on Instagram, and I apologize for not remembering his name off the top of my head, but there was a very nice woman who was there with her dog, who was very protective of her. He snapped at me when I came around to take the picture of him, but he was literally eating this little burger slider like a human being, and I thought that was awesome. Another quick thing, I ran into my friends, John Yellen and Ben Russ from, I don't think this is going to let me zoom in here. I apologize. I ran into my friends, Ben Russ and John Yellen. Actually, I could pull that up. Outlaws for a Cause. John is going to be having an event that's going to be happening, and they have a website. I'm going to pull it up right now. This event's going to be October 10th, 2026 at Captain Woody's. You can get the tickets here at All Outlaws for a Cause. Ed Jurdy and Gordy Quist, Ellis Bullard, and Dale Watson and his Lone Stars are going to be performing. They're coming here from Austin, Texas. You can purchase the tickets at outlawsforacause.org. Just click this button up here that says Get Tickets. General admission, $150. Proceeds going to benefit the Low Country Autism Foundation. So I just wanted to spread the word for them. And this is a 501c3 charity concert benefiting the Low Country Autism Foundation. That's going to take place again at Captain Woody's on October 10th from 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So you're going to want to check that out if you want to support autism or if you just like the food at Captain Woody's, which of course I do. So we talked to you about American Munchies. We talked to you about Okatee River Farms. It's a couple of the things that I've been eating. I should also mention this delicious brunch burger that I had at Eggs Up Grill that the ladies and gents over at Eggs Up have been telling me for a while that I should enjoy this. This had like maple sort of like syrup on it. It was absolutely delicious. Look at this beast of a burger. This is after I had taken a bite out of it. It was excellent. I was long overdue to try this burger. I've eaten just about everything at Eggs Up Grill. And I also want to announce, not announce, but just have you guys share that they're doing any entree. If you're a part of their Smile Society, which I highly recommend that you sign up for, any entree, buy one, get one, expires July 31st. So you got another 11 days on that. Just show your server the text and provide your phone number. This is if you join the Smile Society. And I believe if you join the Smile Society, I believe you get a free order of their donuts. That burger was really good, but I also had this turkey Swiss melt. Those big, beautiful red onions. I actually took those off the top of the side salad and threw them on the sandwich and ate them as an ingredient of the sandwich, which was also delicious. And a little eggs up, double up, if you will, from the Indulgent Islander. Congratulations to Radici on their successful couple back-to-back dinners with DM dinners from up in New York City. And, you know, another one that doesn't need a shout out. I had a great lunch last week at Hudson's that had a beautiful shrimp dip, a shrimp ceviche that I shared with my lunch partner who was in town from a company called Vault Ice. If you're interested in cocktail ice, the spheres, the cubes for your old fashions and stuff like that, he indulged in a triple tail tacos. I don't know if you've ever had lunch at Hudson's, but the tacos are spectacular. Every day there's a special fish sandwich or whatever local catch sandwich. There's always a couple. There's like 4 or 5 different fishes that they had, types of fish. The other day, one of them was a triple tail. These tacos looked awesome. I went with your good old tried and true fish and chips with the with that special delicious I don't know what they call it, the coleslaw at Hudson's. Whatever it is, it's excellent. Really enjoyed that. And I made a couple really good sandwiches with the bread. I might do that again today with the bread from the sour loaf. This was chicken cutlet with pickled onions, Mazzetta pickled onions, and American cheese on, I believe this was their sandwich loaf. Absolutely delicious. A couple days later, I sampled their, let's see, refresh this. I sampled their English muffin. There's a little cross section of their sourdough English muffin. I put a little Taylor ham on there, some American cheese. And then, of course, the sourdough muffins. I sprinkled a little black garlic from Trader Joe's. Look at the beautiful bottom of that, beautiful golden bottom of that English muffin. And then again, some my signature vitamin water zero rise, which I don't drink a ton of it, but I always have to kind of have a vitamin water or a couple of vitamin waters on hand. This sandwich was delicious with some black garlic and onion salt, again, from Trader Joe's, which we do not have around here. I wish we did, but sometimes I'm able to strategically obtain certain things via friends. Also had a wonderful cigar that I picked up from Locals Only, a small cigar when I was there on Friday. I said, Shona, I think I need to have that one cigar. It had a really cool emblem on it. It said Leather Rose, reminded me of the AEW wrestler Thunder Rosa. Enjoyed that Saturday evening while I viewed Saturday night's main event, which for those of you who are sports fans, you had to really appreciate and love the fact that Jalen Brunson was awarded his own world championship belt, Knicks themed world championship belt from the tribal chief himself, the WWE world champion Roman Reigns. And these guys, here you see Roman holding the NBA championship trophy. So I think that's probably about it in terms of the food from this weekend. Again, check out the feature on Okatee River Farms. I'm going to remove that right now. Check out the feature on Okatee River Farms, a spotlight video that we posted last Thursday. It's going crazy. Last I checked, it had 7,000 views. Let's see. I got to come back to that. Actually, I could probably check it right here on my own Facebook page. This thing has gone absolutely crazy. It's a testament to how awesome Okatee River Farms is how great their produce is. Excuse me. As I scroll through here, sorry to cough into the mic. Cottages looking to hire people. So keep that in mind. And again, oh, that's another thing. I should probably, well, I give a ton of love always to Rocky's New York Deli. I got there bright and early on Saturday because I had to help out with something, and I got to enjoy a steak, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich, which was absolutely spectacular. Um, I'm actually going to get this back up going again because I'd like to show you guys that. But the Okatee River Farms, I'm just scrolling back to the to last week. This is currently at now that they were kind enough to share it. It's currently at, where does it say we're at just about 8,000 views. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, in less than 4 days. Absolutely spectacular. It's a testament to, again, how great their stuff is. And I'll show you while we're here. This is the Italian Hero, the Big T, or the T, if you will, from Rocky's Deli that I had in the chamber. I picked this up Saturday morning, ended up eating for lunch later in the day. This beautiful Malone & Sons bread from Malone & Sons Bakery in Staten Island, absolutely delicious. Here's the how the sausage was made, if you will. Beautiful, crisp, cool veggies, non-diarrhea lettuce, if you will. Sorry, but it's topical. And this was the Ebbets with the herb spread, the balsamic, nice lattice work on the balsamic with the prosciutto and the eggplant and the fresh mozzarella. Another popular one from the family over at the team over at Rocky's Deli. There you have Jelani, my man Jelani, given the peace symbol as I indulge in a delicious ice cream bar with my Pool Bar Gyms t-shirt on, and another great t-shirt, speaking of which, one of the girls had a great Goodfellas shirt. Funny how, for those of you who are aware of Goodfellas. And again, I buried the lead. Look at this freaking steak, egg, and cheese off the breakfast menu. I rarely get to Rocky's in time to enjoy their breakfast. I think you might be able to get it. I don't remember. You'd have to check with them. I don't remember how for how long it's available. But what a amazing breakfast sandwich! I picked up a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese for my friend who works over in Savannah there. And he said his was the best breakfast sandwich that he's had in years, which of course Billy was very happy to see. I mean, just look at the way that this cheesesteak kind of melds with that warm, over medium or over easy egg. And so I guess that would probably be over easy because it's a little bit more on the yolky side. But that thing was awesome. So shout out Rocky's Deli again. Best of Savannah from Connect Savannah 2026 for Rocky's New York Deli, best sandwich shop, best deli. They finished in third place for best caterer, which is impressive because they were competing with caterers that had on-site locations, and all of their catering is off-premise. So that's about it, guys. I'm over an hour. I got things not really places to go, but things to do, people to talk to, and I'm going to keep fighting the good fight. I want to just thank everybody again for their support. What's the problem here? Instagram has disconnected. Okay, so this disconnected on Instagram. That's okay. I'm just going to remove that one from the stream. It's already been removed. That's fine. Again, the primary vehicle for this podcast is Facebook, which the live videos stay up for 30 days. And then again, they will be evergreen on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Thank you for, I don't know why it's always asking me to discard the video after I'm done on Facebook or Instagram, but whatever. I don't really care about that. Shout out to Liz and James Massey, by the way, who are in the pitch dark this morning heading to the airport for their trip, for their much-deserved vacation. The teams over at Laundry Diner, Two Tides Brewing, Float Coffee, and Small Bar will be taking over the reins of the operation for the next couple of weeks, as they deserve their much deserved vacation. I believe it's the first time that they've taken a vacation in 9 years. So shout outs to them. That's all I got, guys. I hope everybody has a great week. I'll be back with more content. Again, more sour loaf content. We have another video that's coming out with a sandwich, a fresh catch sandwich that we decided to, that we were invited to try at Poseidon. So keep an eye out for that. And again, more indulgent content coming your way. I will always fight for the things that I believe in, for the things that I love. I will always fight for the people and the things that I love. I believe that it will be worth it in the end. And outside of that, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from, I was inspired by Liz's message today. I think I'm going to take a little break from, in general, from the social media. If I have a video to share with you guys or a podcast, again, I do have Alejandro from the brand new catering entity, Alejandro Remolina Culinary Co. So that interview is going to be coming up. But outside of that, I think it's probably an opportune time now that the sandwich tour is over, and now that the we're in a little bit of the dog days of summer, if you will. I think it's probably a good time, as we are here in the midst of the second course of the Indulgent Hour, as I like to call it. We'll be winding that up over the next couple of weeks as we close out the summer. I think it's time for me to take a little bit of a break for my own mental health sake, and also because of the fact that I have lunatics stalking me and threatening me and so on and so forth. So we will let the appropriate authorities handle those things, and we will move on with our lives. Hope everybody has a great week. Stay true to the good. Stay tuned. Stay hungry, my friends. Indulgent Islander, out.